and welcome back to Who Is on Magic Untapped. I am Barry White. Normally on Who Is, we take a look at various important and iconic Magic the Gathering characters and explore their origin, their backstory and whatnot. We're not doing that this time because there is a character from the Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond, the Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth, whom we will be talking about. Now, this character is in the books written by J.R.R. Tolkien. However, he is not in the 1978 Ralph Bakshi animated film, nor is he in Peter Jackson's film trilogy. Why, you might ask? Well, apparently everybody thought that this character's role within the story was unimportant enough to exclude, period, on screen and in the radio adaptation. Now, who is this character who missed the film, missed the radio adaptation, but took up 3 chapters of the book and was repeatedly referred to throughout portions of the trilogy? Well, that would be Tom Bombadil.
Who is this?
Who is it?
Who is this?
Who is it?
Despite no mention of Tom Bombadil in the novels Silmarillion and The Hobbit, both of which take place well before the events of The Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien introduced the character in the poem The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, which came out in 1934, 3 years before the publication of The Hobbit. As far as Tom Bombadil in terms of the character's presence in Middle-earth is concerned, while the exact origin and nature of Bombadil is unknown, it's insinuated that he may be among the first, if not the first, living creature to inhabit Arda, which, by the way, is the name of the world on which Middle-earth is a continent. Much like his origin in the story, when he arrived on Middle-earth is also a bit of a mystery, though it's known that he experienced both the first and second ages of the continent. He wandered the land, experiencing its changes, strife, and cultures over the centuries. Eventually, he came to what's now known as the Old Forest, and settled down, taking a river spirit by the name of Goldberry as his wife. It's here, in the Old Forest, that Tom Bombadil finds himself in the company of a certain band of hobbits. Shortly after departing the Shire and crossing the Brandywine River by way of the Buckleberry Ferry, the adventuring hobbits, Frodo Baggins, Merry Brandybuck, Pippin Took, and Samwise Gamgee find themselves in the Old Forest, whereupon they encounter a great territorial willow tree known as Old Man Willow. During the disastrous encounter, in which Merry and Pippin find themselves trapped by the tree, Frodo and Sam escape to find help. Who they find is a jolly, feather-capped man who had been collecting lilies in a nearby pond and singing as he bounds down the path.
There was another burst of song, and then suddenly, hopping and dancing along the path, there appeared above the reeds an old battered hat, with a tall crown and a long blue feather stuck in the band. With another hop and a bound, there came into view a man, or so it seemed. At any rate, he was too large and heavy for a hobbit, if not quite tall enough for one of the big people, though he made noise enough for one, stumping along with great yellow boots on his thick legs, and charging through grass and rushes like a cow going down to drink. He had a blue coat and a long brown beard. His eyes were blue and bright, and his face was red as a ripe apple, but creased into 100 wrinkles of laughter. In his hand he carried on a large leaf, as on a tray, a small pile of white water lilies. The Fellowship of the Ring, Chapter 6.
Frodo informs the strange man, who just happens to be Tom Bombadil, of the peril. Bombadil drops what he is doing and follows the 2 hobbits to Old Man Willow. Once there, he sings a song that entrances the tree before commanding it to release its prisoners. Almost at once, Merry and Pippin are free. Bombadil then invites the hobbits to his home, near the source of the nearby Withywindle River. There, the foursome enjoy a near-idyllic 2-day stay with Bombadil and Goldberry as they feast and make merry together. During this time, Frodo inadvertently tells Bombadil about the one ring he carries, despite Gandalf's strict instructions not to. Bombadil asks Frodo if he may inspect the ring. It's a request that Frodo easily grants. He then slips the ring on his finger. Unlike Frodo, however, the ancient Bombadil not only does not vanish from sight, he doesn't seem to be affected by the ring's corruptive nature at the slightest. He then performs a sleight of hand trick with the ring, making it seem to jump from one hand to the other, then gives it back to the Hobbit. Frodo then puts the ring onto his own hand to ensure it's a genuine article, and promptly disappears. Bombadil surprises him yet again, informing Frodo that he can still see him even though he wears the ring, and that he should take it off as his hand looks much better without it on. 2 days' company is all the Hobbit troop would enjoy with Bombadil, however, as they set out to resume their quest. Before they depart, though, he teaches them a rhyme they can sing to summon him should they require his assistance while still in the Old Forest. As misfortune would have it, they would use that hymn the very next day, as they fall in danger yet again on the edge of the woods. On the east side of the Old Forest is Barrow Downs, a resting place of the Old Ones from the First Age, that had since become overrun by wights. Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin find themselves ensnared by one of the evil spirits. Separated from one another in a dense fog, the foursome became captured in one of the barrows. His 3 traveling companions already subdued, Frodo sings the hymn. Tom Bombadil arrives in great haste and dispels the wights' hold on the hobbits. Now safe, Bombadil escorts the troop to the edge of his domain before taking his leave of them as they travel towards the town of Bree. More than a month later, Tom Bombadil becomes the topic of a discussion in Rivendell during the Council of Elrond. As the council is trying to decide who should bear the burden of carrying the One Ring to its destruction in Mordor, Elrond reminisces about when he had previously met the ancient being. He then considers whether or not to give Bombadil the ring, as it seemed that he had power over it while it was in his lands. Gandalf, however, quickly dismisses the suggestion, stating that it's not that Tom Bombadil has power over the ring, but simply that the ring has no power over him. Sure, Bombadil might be immune to its influence, but just the same, he is powerless to alter it. Furthermore, Gandalf is concerned that Bombadil actually would take the ring, but that, not fully understanding the reason or appreciating its power, would either forget about it or eventually discard it, as such items have little importance to him. The case closed, the council would move on to consider other options. But Tom Bombadil's role is not yet over. After the One Ring's destruction in the depths of Mount Doom in Mordor, Middle-earth's Third Age is drawing to a close, and its Fourth Age just beginning. The elves are leaving, and the Fellowship is over. Its services no longer needed. And, having returned the hobbits to the Shire, Gandalf, too, looks to make his leave. As he prepares to depart, Frodo asks the wizard what he plans to do.
I'm gonna have a long talk with Bombadil. Such a talk I've never had in all my time. He is a moss gatherer, and I have been a stone doomed to rolling. But my rolling days are ending, and now we shall have much to say to one another.
2 years later, when Frodo meets Gandalf at the Grey Havens before departing east to the Undying Lands, he asks how Bombadil is getting along. Gandalf simply replies that he is, as well as ever, quite untroubled, and not much interested in anything that we have done and seen.
And that, in a nutshell, is the story of Tom Bombadil as it relates to Lord of the Rings and, by extension, Magic the Gathering, thanks to the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth Universes Beyond set. Now, if you're wondering where the inspiration for Tom Bombadil was, it was a Dutch doll that belonged to J.R.R. Tolkien's second son, Michael, and it looks something like this. Yeah, yikes. As for exactly what Tom Bombadil is, we'll probably never know, as Tolkien himself wrote in one of his letters, quote, "Even in the mythical age, there must be some enigmas, as there always are. Tom Bombadil is one intentionally." So what do you think about Tom Bombadil? Do you have any theories about the character, what he meant in Lord of the Rings, and what he just represented overall? Whatever your thoughts on the character, let us know in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to us here on YouTube. Also, Magic Untapped has a tip jar on Patreon if you're feeling so generous. Thank you very much for watching.